I'm Daniela Fox, and I'm going to give you a short demonstration of a practice I use to get in touch with what I'm feeling. So this is a practice that you can build into your day. If you notice that there's something going on under the surface, maybe it's really obvious that you've got some emotions coming up, maybe it's somehow in the background, maybe you found something to distract you, whether that's being very busy or looking at social media or any other kind of tendencial addictive behaviors, heading out to drink, or using substances, shopping, eating, whatever it is that you normally do to like stuff down your feelings. How about you try this before, or even as a replacement, depending how it goes, and allow yourself just to experiment with these different ways of interacting with yourself. There's no right or wrong way. There's nothing wrong with using self-medication necessarily, if that's what works for you. But we can also explore this other way as an alternative, a free choice between two options, rather than a habit that we can't break. Okay, so let's get started. Now, if this is something new for you, you may want to let a friend know if things are feeling really difficult. It's been a difficult year. Maybe let a friend or a family member know that you're exploring this so that they can check in with you maybe in an hour just to see how you're doing. Make sure you have enough support. There's no need to do everything alone. Speak out to people you know and love. Let them know that things are feeling a bit tough at the moment and that you're going to do some practices to try to regulate yourself, to get in touch with your emotions, and invite them to check in on you in an hour. Or if you don't feel you need that, if you feel like this is just a kind of general daily practice, also fine. Not everything has to be a big emotional release. Sometimes it's just about topping up and getting in touch with yourself, and allowing yourself to feel whatever's there, which could also be something very pleasurable. Don't always assume that emotions are dramatic. In that case, it's really great anyway to have a resource. And when we talk about a resource, that's basically something that makes you feel warm and good inside. And this is something that you've got kind of prepared, for your session. And if at any point you feel like you're getting a bit lost in the spiral, the negative thinking spiral, if you start getting stuck in kind of excessive self-loathing or shame or grief, or you start getting really angry and you kind of feel like it's not something you can be present to anymore, it's actually overwhelming you. Emotions are like water. Sometimes they trickle, sometimes they pour. If you want something to kind of dam that up for a little and bring you back more to a new space, then the resource is great. So to get a resource, just take a little moment. Just get present. To get present, best way is to turn your attention to your breath. As you breathe in through your nose, just notice the feeling in your nose, the sensation, the bodily sensation. It's probably a little bit cool. And as you breathe out, a little bit warm. I quite like to do some waves with my breaths. I need to be stiff. We're looking for fluidity. Just start kind of exploring your body a little. Where is my body? Where am I? And also kind of making contact with the ground underneath. Notice where you hit the ground, which part of your thighs, which part of your bottom. Kind of really noticing. Noticing I'm here. Some people may find that they space out when they close the eyes. It's possible. For others, it's kind of calming to close the eyes and shut out the outside world and be inside, more introvert. For others, actually, it's more comfortable or safer even to keep an eye open and see what's going on around. Then it's more relaxed than going inside. Notice what is real for you and use what works best for you to feel comfortable. I love to have my eyes closed. My inner world is usually safer for me than the outer. And from here, bring up something you can use as a resource. And the way you do that is to think of a time in your life where you felt really great, really safe, really seen, really welcome, really happy. Even saying those words, I notice already my body starts to lighten up. So, for instance, perhaps there was a special place in childhood that you really loved, like a treehouse or a playroom, or maybe there's someone in your family you always really enjoyed to cuddle up into the lap of when you were younger. Perhaps you have somewhere now that's kind of your happy place, somewhere that you go when you really want to feel safe and relaxed. Maybe it's even a food you love to eat. I mean, whatever you can kind of come across. Perhaps it's a favorite pet, cuddling your favorite pet. Maybe it's the feeling of lying in your bed. Maybe it's some kind of smell, maybe candy floss in the old days, at the fairground, whatever it is. Pick something. And let yourself visualize it very strongly. Now the idea is that you notice some kind of positive effect on your body, some kind of lightness, or for me, I notice I'm kind of feeling a smile come on. Maybe you can locate this feeling somewhere. Maybe there's a body part that feels very safe for you. That can also be a very nice way to do this, mixing either the visualization with the body part or just using a body part if you didn't manage to find anything. A lot of people like to use the heart. It's kind of a safe place. Maybe it's your belly. Maybe you feel very safe in like a hug. This is also quite nice. Really go with what feels right for you. And just make sure you can really notice the benefits of that. So, some kind of warmth, lightness, openness, relaxation, safety. The reason we do that and create this resource is, like I say, if at any point in your practice you start to get lost in your emotions, start to feel overwhelmed or like you're not really in control anymore, and it feels like it's not what you need, it's too much, then kind of slowing everything down and focusing very strongly on this resource is a great way, if you are alone, to help you come out and into a different frame of mind before things kind of roller coaster into any kind of negative spiral or thought processes that you're not really interested to go into right now. With this work, I really don't recommend that you go too far too fast. Give yourself space. Nothing has to be fixed in one day. Everything has time. Okay? So let's start with some very general motions. Now, the important thing about the emotions is they're inside the body. Emotions are felt. They are energy in motion, emotion. Emotions move through your body, and actually the way that I understand that they do that, because anybody who's really gone deep into an emotion can feel that it spreads throughout your entire being. It runs through your whole self. Different emotions in different places very often. That's something to investigate, but really they are fluid. And there's a reason that although I'm a sexuality coach, I work a lot with emotions. And that's because if you look at any kind of Eastern tradition, They will very often, and not always, there's a few different ways of looking at this throughout, but in the Eastern tradition, especially in Tantra, the second chakra, which is kind of around your sexual organs, represents the water element. So again, kind of fluidity, flow, and also is connected with the emotions. So there is some kind of link here between being able to let your emotions flow, being able to then connect on a deeper level sexually through this chakra with your partner or whoever else. Also perhaps on a deeper level with yourself. Yeah, we can also look at it that way. And really, it's a little bit like a plug for a sink. You know, you can imagine your pelvis is a bit like a sink, actually, basin. And I really see this plug, once you can learn how to let it go and let whatever's in there flow, whatever's there come out, you find a much stronger base for yourself, in the sense that it's not so much nervousness or fear to end up in any kind of out of control situation. And a lot of the fears, I would say, around emotionality, around connecting in this way by going deeper into parts of ourselves that perhaps, you know, don't look pretty. If you can bring those into the sexual realm, if you can bring those into the sexual connection, which is really what I would say Tantra really embraces, all of you being worth bringing in and exploring to your sexuality, to your connections, that's certainly being seen in this way, and being able to be really in that Shakti, you know, in the feminine that kind of lives down here. It's very powerful, very beautiful, and will certainly bring a lot more to your intimacy. I certainly recommend exploring these practices outside of the bedroom first. And perhaps also speaking with whoever you're in the bedroom with around you wishes to be more open to this style of relating. Or just, you know, go for a wild card approach, but be prepared that the person with you may not be able or willing to enter into these spaces themselves, or be prepared to support you in yours without any kind of warning. It's always good to always both be on the same page with these things. Okay. So, moving out from the head, which is not a place where you can feel your emotions. The head is where you can analyze your emotions. When you're doing this practice, please don't, if you can, analyze your emotions. It's my forte. I love doing it. As time goes on, I've really understood that this part of it is important, and you can do it after the practice, but ideally not during. So we have the head, we have this kind of like, what am I doing here? What's the point? I'm sitting here, blah, blah, blah. Move slowly down with the breath. Feel the expansion in your rib cage. And everything decompressing. If you feel like it, you can kind of find motions to match that. But try not to copy me or do what you think you should do. Give yourself space to do what you would like to do. And if you don't know what you would like to do, try something and then feel into like, is that something I like? And how do you know if you like it? I mean, is my body enjoying this motion? Would I say this feels good? And if you're not sure or no, try something else. Try to keep a bit of a flow. And as you can kind of see, I want you exploring the edges of myself. So here I've hit some kind of tension in my hips. So just gently kind of fill into this area where it's tense. Just imagine I'm breathing the breath into this area. So obviously it only goes to here. I mean, the breath goes in the lungs, but with the power of your mind, extend a little bit, some kind of oxygen bubbles or whatever you like to see. Maybe a coloured smoke. Bringing it down to those edges. And exploring them. See, now I'm noticing my shoulders are getting tight. So I'm doing the same thing into my shoulders, breathing in, filling my shoulders with that breath energy, that fresh life energy. Imagine you're breathing in light, if you like. Bring it into those shoulders, or wherever it is you're feeling tension. You know, again, this is your process, this is your body. This is not a practice you need to follow. This is not a yang session where something is shown and you can kind of follow it. This is really about dropping into yourself and letting yourself follow your body's needs. Maybe at this point you want to stand up, maybe you want to lie down, maybe you want to wiggle on the floor. And everything is possible. And if you're nervous about it, you don't really know what you want, try something out, see how it goes, and if you don't like it, make adjustments. So I found a spot here when I've done this. So I kind of hold it, but not stiff. Try to keep a little bit dynamic even when you're holding. Breathing into that shoulder. Breathing out. And you can imagine this is kind of, when you get sore spots or heat spots, I tend to think of that's an inflammation, a stuckness. It's like the tissue inside is a little bit more dry. The fascia is a little bit more dry, which means that, you know, it's not as fluid. And if you do have emotions flowing, you obviously want that there's something to flow through. So I like to think of the fascia body, which is like a kind of gel that surrounds every cell, every joint, every bone, every muscle in our body. And it's essentially like, it's not 100% liquid, it's like a gel, so a kind of semi-liquid state. As I understand emotions, that is some kind of flow through this fascia system. And the reason we tend to end up with very kind of tense areas, stuck areas, shall we say, that's in some ways because the tissue is drying up, there's heat, inflammation, some kind of fire there. And by doing these kinds of practices, bringing back motion to areas that are not used to motion, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting, bringing air, nice fresh breath into whichever body area with your intention. Of course, that breath can only go to the bottom of the lungs, but I'm going to use intention. And exploring your inner space, exploring what's real for you down here. And most important is not using the head to say, okay, now we're going to do yoga pose, downward dog, whatever. I'm going to kind of do what I did in my practice yesterday. Let all that go. You can use yoga poses if you like. There's nothing wrong with them. But let your body kind of lead the way. Let your body do the moving for you. Let yourself be moved by a level of consciousness that is outside of the mind. Second brain, I would even say perhaps it's the primal brain, in the gut, in the body, in the cellular memory. And this brain doesn't think the way your head does. This brain, this intelligence that's in your body is silent. So the only way you can really access it is through following your feeling. And that's why this practice is all about going with your flow, following your feeling. And yeah, you can do some kind of yoga pose, you know, you can go up like this. But don't stay static. This is kind of the yogic way. Keep really some sort of motion, dynamism, alongside the breath. Think of it as a wave. Explore yourself, explore the space that you inhabit. Explore who you are inside this other form of intelligence. Keep the breath nice and steady, in, out, quite long, possibly much longer than you're used to. And the idea is to kind of come right down. This is where the breath sits first, in the diaphragm, opening the chest, and finally to the shoulders. Now experiment with this 3 stages of breath. Bringing in any kind of motion you enjoy. If you're someone who tendentially just breathes very shallow, already bringing your breath here can shift quite a lot. So go gently. If at any point you feel overwhelmed from the deeper breath, from the sudden fluidity and motion, just take a time out, and whether that's lying down, perhaps you do some kind of child's pose, or put a blanket over yourself, and then breathe as you normally would. If you breathe normally very shallow, go back to the shallow breath. That's what's going to keep your energy level slightly down and not open up. What will open in a higher energy, with higher oxygen intake, with a stronger breath. And use your resource. Yeah, so take it gentle. Have something to drink. Cold water is quite good, just to kind of get you back into the present. If you still don't feel great after that, something I quite think something like jogging helps me to kind of shake things out. You can also literally shake your body, stand up and give it a good shake. Just as suggestions as how you can kind of come out of this experience if you need to. If you're exploring and enjoying, keep on going. So far we've got the fluidity, so exploring yourself in fluid motion. And then when you find borders, boundaries, edges, staying there and just filling into it, just exploring what's in there. So I can find, and I know this one pretty well, my right shoulder. If I keep and your attention needs to go in your body. So I'm putting my attention right now in my right shoulder. It's sore, it feels a little hot there, and I can already feel there's some frustration, some anger. And just be there. I don't think about what's making me angry, what made me angry in the past, what it might be about. I just sit in what it feels like in the body. Tense, hot. I explore it. Breathing into that area with light, fresh air. Breathing out, letting out the heat. This black tar, whatever you imagine there might be in there. For these things, sometimes good to have a cushion. And you know, again, controlled, conscious, stay present. You can go, it's not present. You're kind of getting overwhelmed with the wish to let out. Give yourself space. So just very consciously on the out breath. Just sense what that does to your body. So you're not kind of going into a big like Rausch, this kind of like dramatized expression of your emotion. Try to stay, if you can, just exploring that as a release. For instance, if you feel like there's a lot of tension, which for me, frustration or something brings out. You can also use sound. Ha! Ha! And the sounds, if you try this out at home, you'll notice that they activate different parts of your body depending on what tone you're using. It's like an internal massage, an internal vibration. Breath is also an internal massage. It's coming in and stroking you open. And you can use it to massage internally, just like sound. And sound is really important. I really recommend that you do bring it in. If you're worried about the neighbors, you can also make sound into cushions. Especially when you're hitting the cushion, you want to use a ha! You may want to muffle it, whatever makes you feel safe and comfortable. If you can let it out free, go for it. And the sounding is really nice to just give yourself that feeling of being it really inside yourself. If you close your eyes when you make the sound and you explore how it vibrates different parts of your body, you might be surprised what it brings up. A very light sadness, very gentle sadness. It's welcome. All your emotions are welcome. Give yourself, give that space. When you're breathing in, just imagine you're breathing in some kind of healing light, some kind of golden light, or whatever color, maybe you want pink light, green light, whatever, and just really imagine stroking inside yourself with this light. Doesn't matter where the sadness came from, the story behind it, it's not important. Be in the here and now. Bring in the gentleness. Let it have space to move, to flow out from where it has been holding. Using the sound, using the breath, using emotion. Kind of doing that until you feel that the emotion subdues. Again, if it gets bigger and bigger and starting to not feel like something that's safe or comfortable for you, switch to the resourcing, lying down, having a shake, eating something if you want to get in touch with your body again, cold drink, something like that. Go easy on yourself, but really enjoy this practice. This is really a basic outline. Obviously, you can go much deeper with it, especially if you have somebody with you who can kind of help you with touch from the outside perhaps, or helping you with stretching, guiding your breathing, so that if you start getting lost, you've got somebody to kind of anchor you. And that's what I offer, and anyone else that's doing this kind of healing work, emotional release work, de-armoring, breath work. There's many people who are able to support you if you feel like you don't feel comfortable to try this on your own. I really recommend giving it a go. Again, this is really body-led. If you notice that's not easy for you, if you're not used to being in your body and you need more support, contact me or somebody else that's doing some kind of somatic work that can help you to get more in touch with your body impulses, to recognize what's feeling good and what's not feeling good. And this is a slow journey, it's a gentle journey, it's a sacred journey. There's so much going on here that's incredible. Highs and lows. You can't have one without the other, unfortunately. So once you start getting into this, maybe you make contact with some very deep feelings that aren't comfortable. But just bear in mind that unplugs the same source that can also bring really beautiful highs as well. There is as much lightness as darkness in ourselves, and the more that we're able to go into one, the more we're also able to go into the other. And when I say light and dark, that's also not a judgment. One is not better than the other. It's not better to be happy than it is to be sad. They're all part of the human experience, and let it be welcome.